I thought she wanted to build a family with me. Turns out all she ever wanted was the money.
When your wife inherits $33 million, you'd think the party would be for both of you. Spoiler alert, it's not. I'm Nate Porter, 38 years old, and apparently the hired help in my own house. Used to be our house, back when Vanessa actually pretended to love me. Now it's her father's Connecticut mansion, complete with crystal blue pool, manicured gardens, and enough square footage to house a small village. Me? I'm the guy who fixes the leaky faucets and pretends not to notice when my wife undresses the pool boy with her eyes. Nate, honey, can you grab more champagne from the cellar? Vanessa's voice carries that fake sweetness she reserves for when guests are watching. Her blonde hair catches the light from the crystal chandelier, and she's wearing a dress that costs more than most people's cars. 3 weeks since her father's funeral, and she's throwing a party like she just won the lottery, which, technically, she did. I navigate through the crowd of her friends, all perfectly coiffed Connecticut socialites who look at me like I'm something they'd scrape off their designer shoes. There's Leah, gossiping by the fireplace with her usual mean girl smirk. Serena's enabling whatever scheme they're cooking up this time, nodding along like a bobblehead. These women have made an art form out of being useless. Sure thing, sweetheart, I reply, because what else am I going to say? Not like I have anywhere else to go. My construction business went under 2 years ago when Vanessa's spending habits drained our savings. Now I'm completely dependent on her generosity, which she reminds me of daily. The cellar is cool and quiet, a blessed relief from the chaos upstairs. I grab 2 bottles of Dom Perignon, because of course it has to be the expensive stuff, and head back up. That's when I see it. Vanessa's pressed against the sliding glass door leading to the pool area, and she's not alone. Tyler Grant, our 25-year-old pool boy, has his hands all over my wife. His muscles ripple under his tight polo shirt as he pulls her closer. She's giggling like a teenager, running her manicured fingers through his perfectly styled hair. "Get a room!" someone shouts from the crowd, and everyone laughs. Everyone except me. I stand there holding 2 bottles of champagne, watching my wife make out with another man at her own party. The worst part? She sees me watching, makes eye contact over Tyler's shoulder, and doesn't stop. If anything, she gets more aggressive, pressing herself against him like she's trying to prove a point. "Nate!" Big Frank, Vanessa's new security chief, appears at my elbow. He's an ex-cop with hands like ham hocks and a voice like gravel. "Mrs. Porter wants to see you in the kitchen." I follow him through the crowd, past the pointing and whispering. In the kitchen, Vanessa's waiting with her arms crossed. Tyler's there too, straightening his shirt with a smug grin. "We need to talk," she says, but her words are slurred. She's had too much champagne, and it's made her bold. Or maybe just honest. "About what?" I ask, though I already know. "About us. About this." She waves her hand around the kitchen, encompassing the mansion, the party, the life we've built together. "I don't need you anymore, Nate. Daddy left me everything. I can afford better help now." The words hit like a physical blow. "Help? Is that what I am now?" "What else would you call it?" Tyler speaks up, and I want to punch that perfect smile off his face. She's got money, status, everything. What do you bring to the table? "Ty's right," Vanessa continues, and hearing her use his nickname makes my stomach turn. "I want you out. Tonight. Find somewhere else to live." She pauses, takes a sip of champagne. "Or die. I honestly don't care anymore." Frank steps forward, and I realize this isn't a discussion, it's an eviction. "Get your stuff," he says, not unkindly. "Don't make this harder than it has to be." I look at Vanessa one last time. 15 years of marriage, and this is how it ends? "This is how it should have ended years ago," she replies. I was just too nice to say it. 30 minutes later, I'm sitting in my pickup truck in the driveway, watching through the windows as the party continues. My entire life fits in 2 duffel bags in the back seat. 15 years reduced to some clothes, a few tools, and a broken heart. My phone buzzes. Ray, my buddy from the service who tends bar at Murphy's downtown. "How's the rich life treating you?" his text reads. "Just got evicted from Paradise," I type back. "At least the truck doesn't leak much." I drive to Murphy's because where else am I going to go? Ray takes one look at my face and pours me a double whiskey without being asked. "She actually threw you out?" he asks. "Her and the pool boy. Real classy operation." I drain the glass and push it forward for another. "Guess I'm sleeping in the truck tonight." "Like heck you are. I've got a couch." The next morning, I wake up with a hangover and 17 missed calls from a number I don't recognize. I'm about to delete them when my phone rings again. Mr. Porter, this is Harold Kessler, your family attorney. We need to talk, immediately. An hour later, I'm sitting in Kessler's office, still wearing yesterday's clothes and feeling like death warmed over. He's a thin man in his 60s with wire-rimmed glasses and the kind of dry humor that comes from dealing with rich people's problems all day. Did you actually read your father-in-law's will? He asks. Vanessa said she inherited everything: house, money, investments. Kessler slides a thick document across his desk. Page 47, third paragraph. I flip through until I find it, and my hangover suddenly gets a lot better. The inheritance is conditional, I read aloud. Vanessa Porter shall receive the full estate only upon the birth of a legitimate child conceived with her current husband, Nathan Porter. Should this condition not be met within 18 months of the testator's death, the entire estate shall be donated to the American Red Cross. I look up at Kessler, who's trying not to smile. Your father-in-law was quite fond of you, he says. Thought you were the only honest man his daughter ever brought home. He wanted to make sure she stayed married to you. What happens if we get divorced? She gets nothing. What happens if you die under suspicious circumstances? She gets nothing, and there's a full investigation. What happens if she tries to have children with someone else? She gets nothing. Kessler leans back in his chair. Your father-in-law was a very thorough man. My phone starts ringing. Vanessa's name flashes on the screen. Aren't you going to answer that? Kessler asks. I let it go to voicemail, then another, then another. Finally, I pick up. Nate, thank God. We need to talk. Her voice is completely different now. Panicked. Desperate. About what? I thought you wanted me dead. I was drunk. I didn't mean it. Can you come home, please? We need to discuss our future. I look at Kessler, who nods encouragingly. What about Tyler? I ask. Who? Oh, Ty. He's not important. You're my husband. You're the one I love. The lies come so easily to her, but now I hold all the cards. I'll be there in an hour, I say, and hang up. Driving back to the mansion feels surreal. 24 hours ago, I was thrown out like garbage. Now I'm the most important person in Vanessa's world, at least on paper. The irony isn't lost on me. Vanessa meets me at the front door, and the transformation is remarkable. Gone is the cold, dismissive woman from last night. This version of my wife is wearing a silk robe that barely covers her thighs. Her hair is perfectly styled, and she's got that sultry look she used to give me back when we were dating. Nate, sweetheart, I'm so glad you're home, she purrs, pressing herself against me. I missed you so much. Did you now? I step past her into the foyer. The house still smells like last night's party. Champagne and expensive perfume. Where's Tyler? Her face flickers for just a moment. I told you he's not important. You're the only man I want. She leads me to the living room, her hips swaying in a way that would have driven me crazy a few years ago. Now it just looks desperate. I made us some coffee, she says, gesturing to a silver service on the marble coffee table. And I thought we could reconnect. She sits on the leather couch and pats the cushion beside her. When I sit down, she immediately curls up against me, her hand resting on my chest. I know I hurt you last night, she whispers. I was grieving, confused about Daddy's death. I took it out on you, and that wasn't fair. Grieving, I repeat. Is that what you call making out with the pool boy? That was a mistake, a moment of weakness. Her hand slides lower. You're the man I married, the man I want to have children with. There it is, the real reason for this sudden change of heart. Children? I ask. We've been married 15 years, Vanessa. You've been on birth control the entire time. Said you weren't ready. Well, I'm ready now. She leans in to kiss me, and I can smell her expensive perfume mixed with desperation. We could start trying right now. I pull back. What's the rush? No rush. I realized last night how much I love you, how much I need you. Her voice is getting breathy, theatrical. Make love to me, Nate. Right here, right now. Nothing ends the mood like a woman who threw you out 12 hours ago, suddenly wanting to jump your bones. I stand up, and her face falls. I need some time to think about this, I say. A lot has happened. Time? The desperation creeps into her voice. How much time? I don't know. Maybe I should stay at Ray's for a while longer. Figure out what I want. No, she jumps up, grabbing my arm. I mean, why would you want to do that? This is your home. Our home. We should be together. I extract myself from her grip. Like I said, I need to think. That evening, I'm back at Murphy's, nursing a beer and watching the game with Ray. The bar is typical dive. Dim lighting, worn wooden floors, and the kind of regulars who mind their own business. So, let me get this straight, Ray says, wiping down glasses behind the bar. She needs to have your kid to get the money, but she spent 15 years avoiding getting pregnant? That's about the size of it. And now she's throwing herself at you like you're the last man on earth? Pretty much, Ray shakes his head. Brother, that woman's going to find a way to get what she wants, with or without your cooperation. He's right, of course. Vanessa's never been one to let obstacles stand in her way. The question is, what's her plan B? I get my answer 2 nights later. I'm sitting at the end of the bar, working on my 3rd beer and trying to figure out my next move when she walks in. Tall brunette, curves in all the right places, wearing a dress that's just tight enough to be interesting. She slides onto the bar stool next to me, even though there are plenty of empty seats. Buy a girl a drink? She asks, and her voice has just a hint of an accent. Southern, maybe? Sure. I signal Ray, who raises an eyebrow but pours her a vodka tonic. I'm Monica, she says, extending a perfectly manicured hand. Nate. Nate, she says my name like she's tasting it. You look like a man with problems. Don't we all? She laughs, a throaty sound that draws looks from other men in the bar. Some more than others. I heard you talking to the bartender about your wife troubles. Ray catches my eye and shakes his head slightly, but Monica's already moving closer, her thigh brushing against mine. Want to talk about it? She asks. Sometimes it helps to get a woman's perspective. 3 beers in, and she's looking better by the minute, which should have been my first warning sign. My wife wants something from me, I say. Something I'm not sure I want to give her. What kind of something? The permanent kind. Monica nods like she understands completely. Relationships are complicated. Sometimes people want different things. She finishes her drink and signals for another. But life's short, you know? Sometimes you just have to take what you want and worry about the consequences later. She's moved even closer now, her hand resting on my forearm. Her perfume is intoxicating, nothing like Vanessa's expensive French stuff. This is earthier, more primal. I have a hotel room, she says quietly, if you want to continue this conversation somewhere more private. Every rational part of my brain is screaming warnings, but I'm drunk and angry and tired of being manipulated by my wife. Monica represents everything Vanessa isn't. Warm, interested, available. Why not? I say, throwing money on the bar. Ray grabs my arm as we head for the door. Nate, don't do this. Something's not right about her. Everything's not right these days, I reply. Might as well enjoy it. The hotel is a mid-range place downtown, the kind of anonymous room that could be anywhere in America. Monica opens a bottle of wine she had waiting, and we talk for a while about nothing important. She's a good listener, asking all the right questions, making all the right sounds of sympathy. When she kisses me, it's soft and warm, and everything I've been missing at home. When she leads me to the bed, I follow without hesitation. I wake up alone with a hangover that feels like someone's using my skull for drum practice. There's a note on the pillow. Thanks for a wonderful night. M. Bizem. My clothes are neatly folded on the chair, my wallet still in my pocket, and there's no sign Monica ever existed, except for the faint scent of her perfume on the pillows, and the missing protection from my wallet. I check twice, but there's no doubt. I always carry 2, and now there's only 1. The wrapper's gone too. Son of a witch, I mutter, the pieces falling into place. Ray's waiting for me when I get to Murphy's that afternoon, and one look at my face tells him everything. She played you, he says. Like a fiddle. I collapse onto a bar stool. Vanessa hired her. Had to be. To do what exactly? I explain about the missing protection, and Ray's expression gets grimmer. You think they're going to try to... He makes a vague gesture. Artificial insemination with stolen goods? Yeah, that's exactly what I think. Is that even legal? Legal and ethical are 2 different things, and Vanessa's never been big on ethics. 2 weeks later, my suspicions are confirmed. Vanessa calls me at Ray's place, practically vibrating with excitement. Nate, darling, I have wonderful news. Can you come over right away? When I arrive at the mansion, she's waiting in the living room with a small plastic stick in her hand and a smile that could power the eastern seaboard. We're pregnant, she announces, waving the pregnancy test like a victory flag. Are we now? I take the test and examine it. 2 pink lines, clear as day. When exactly did this miracle occur? Does it matter? The important thing is we're going to be parents. She throws her arms around me, and I can feel her trembling with excitement. Daddy would be so proud. The timeline works, barely. If Monica handed over the goods that night, and if Vanessa had herself inseminated within 24 hours, the timing could match up with a positive test now. This is what you wanted, isn't it? Vanessa asks, studying my face. A family. Our family? Of course, I lie. I'm just surprised. It happened so fast. Sometimes the best things do. She pulls back to look at me, and for a moment I see something that might be genuine happiness in her eyes. We should celebrate. Have dinner together, just the two of us, like old times. What about Tyler? Her expression doesn't change, but something shifts behind her eyes. I told you, that's over. You're the father of my child now. You're the only man I need. I hired Jill Martinez 3 days after Vanessa's pregnancy announcement. She's a private investigator with 20 years on the Boston PD and a reputation for finding things people don't want found. Her office is a cramped space above a Chinese restaurant, but her credentials are solid. Let me get this straight, she says, leaning back in her chair. Your wife hired a woman to seduce you, steal your genetic material, and use it to get herself pregnant so she can inherit $33 million. That's the theory, and you want me to prove it. I want you to find Monica. The woman from the hotel. I need her to admit what she did. Jill nods and opens a file folder. I've already done some preliminary work based on the information you gave me. The hotel has security cameras, but the footage from that night is conveniently missing. Someone paid to have it deleted. Can you trace the payment? Working on it. But I did find something interesting. She slides a photograph across the desk. This is Monica Reeves, 28, originally from Atlanta. She's worked as an escort in 3 different cities over the past 5 years. The photo shows the same woman who seduced me at Murphy's, but this time she looks more professional. Business suit, conservative makeup, like something you'd see on a corporate profile. An escort? High-end. Clients include politicians, business executives, wealthy divorcees. She specializes in complicated situations, such as honey traps, blackmail setups, corporate espionage. If someone needs a beautiful woman to get close to a target and extract something, Monica's their girl. I study the photograph. How do I find her? That's the tricky part. She uses multiple identities, changes locations frequently. But she has one weakness. She's got a gambling problem, poker specifically. There's a high-stakes game that runs every Thursday night at a private club downtown. She's been a regular for months. Thursday night finds me sitting in my truck outside the Meridian Club, a converted warehouse in the industrial district. Jill's in the passenger seat, watching the entrance through binoculars. There, she says. Black sedan. License plate matches one of Monica's known aliases. I watch Monica climb out of the car, and she's dressed to end. Literally. Red dress, high heels, hair styled in an elegant updo. She looks nothing like the woman who picked me up at Murphy's. She's good, I admit. The best ones always are. We wait until she's inside. Then Jill makes a phone call. It's Martinez. Is she at table 3? Good. Keep an eye on her and let me know when she takes a break. An hour later, Monica emerges from the club and lights a cigarette in the alley. I approach her from the shadows, and she doesn't see me coming until I'm 10 feet away. Hello, Monica? She freezes, cigarette halfway to her lips. I'm sorry, do we know each other? Murphy's Bar, 2 weeks ago. You bought me drinks, we went to your hotel room, and you stole something that belonged to me. Her composure slips for just a moment. Then the professional mask slides back into place. I think you have me confused with someone else. I don't think so. I pull out my phone and show her a photo Jill took of her entering the club. Monica Reeves, professional escort and thief. What do you want? The truth? My wife hired you to seduce me and steal my DNA. I want you to admit it on record. She takes a long drag of her cigarette. And if I don't, then I go to the police. Theft, fraud, conspiracy. You're looking at serious jail time. You can't prove anything. Maybe not. But I can make your life very difficult. Your clients value discretion, don't they? How would they feel if your photo and real name ended up on the front page of the newspaper? Monica's cigarette trembles slightly in her hand. You bastard. I learned from the best. My wife's been manipulating people for years. I'm just returning the favor. She drops the cigarette and crushes it under her heel. What exactly do you want me to say? Everything. Who hired you, how much they paid you, what you did with what you stole? And in return? I leave you alone. No police, no newspapers, no problems. She considers this for a long moment, then nods. Fine, but not here. Too many people might overhear. We meet the next day at a coffee shop in Hartford, far enough from her usual territory that she feels safe. Jill's at a corner table with a directional microphone recording everything. Your wife's friend contacted me, Monica begins. Serena Walsh. She said they had a job for someone with my particular skills. What kind of job? Seduction and theft. They needed genetic material from a specific target, you, and they needed it to look like a random hookup. How much did they pay you? $25,000. Half up front, half on delivery. Delivery of what? Monica shifts uncomfortably. Use protection. They were very specific about the timing and storage requirements. And you gave it to them? To Serena, yes. She was waiting in the hotel parking lot. I handed it over within 30 minutes of completion. Did they tell you why they needed it? I don't ask questions. But Serena mentioned something about your wife needing to get pregnant quickly for inheritance reasons. I lean forward. Would you be willing to testify to this in court? Absolutely not. I'd be admitting to multiple felonies. What if I told you my wife is planning to throw you under the bus anyway? Once the baby's born and she gets her money, what's to stop her from saying you forced her or manipulated her into all this? Monica's face goes pale. She wouldn't. You don't know Vanessa. She doesn't leave loose ends. That evening, I'm back at Ray's apartment, reviewing the recording with Jill. The audio quality is excellent. Every word clear and damning. This is good, Jill says, but it's not enough for criminal charges. Theft of genetic material is a legal gray area, and the statute of limitations on fraud might not apply since the pregnancy is ongoing. What about civil court? That's more promising. You could sue for paternity fraud, emotional distress, maybe even get the inheritance tied up in litigation. But I need more evidence. You need Vanessa to admit what she did, or one of her co-conspirators to flip. The next morning, I drive to the mansion for what Vanessa thinks is a reconciliation breakfast. She's made all my favorite foods, pancakes, bacon, fresh orange juice, and she's dressed in a flowing sundress that emphasizes her still flat stomach. I'm so glad we're working things out, she says, pouring coffee into my favorite mug. The baby needs both parents. About the baby, I say carefully. I've been thinking about the timing. What about it? Well, we haven't been intimate in months, and then suddenly you're pregnant right after I spent a night away from home. Her smile doesn't waver, but I catch a flicker of something in her eyes. These things happen when they're meant to happen. Maybe it was fate. Or maybe it was something else. Like what? I pull out my phone and play a portion of Monica's confession. Just enough to let Vanessa know I'm onto her scheme. The color drains from her face, but she recovers quickly. I don't know what you're implying, but I'm not implying anything. I'm stating facts. You hired Monica Reeves to seduce me and steal my genetic material so you could artificially inseminate yourself and claim the inheritance. That's ridiculous. Is it? Because I have Monica's full confession, financial records showing payments from Serena's account, and medical records proving you visited a fertility clinic the day after my night with Monica. The last part is a bluff. I don't have medical records, but Vanessa doesn't know that. You can't prove anything, she says, but her voice lacks conviction. I can prove enough. The question is, what are we going to do about it? She sets down her coffee cup with shaking hands. What do you want? The truth, all of it. Who else was involved? How long you've been planning this? What you intended to do with me after the baby was born? And if I tell you? Then we figure out a solution that works for both of us. Vanessa stares out the window at the pool where Tyler used to work. He's been conspicuously absent since the pregnancy announcement. It was Serena's idea, she finally admits. After the lawyer explained the will, she suggested there might be alternative methods to fulfill the requirements. Alternative methods. The will says I have to have your child. It doesn't specify how conception occurs. So you hired someone to trick me into an act I never truly consented to, just to get my DNA. I prefer to think of it as creative problem solving. The casual way she says it makes my whole body freeze. This is the woman I married, the woman I loved for 15 years. She's talking about violating me like it's a business transaction. What about Tyler? I ask. What about him? Were you planning to continue your affair after the baby was born? She shrugs. Tyler was fun, but he's not husband material. You are. Stable, dependable, easy to control. Easy to control. Don't look so wounded, Nate. It's not personal. This is about securing our future, the baby's future, our future. You threw me out of the house 3 weeks ago. That was before I understood the situation. Now I know we need each other. I stand up from the breakfast table. No, Vanessa, you need me. There's a difference. Where are you going? To see my lawyer. We need to discuss the terms of our new arrangement. What new arrangement? I pause in the doorway. The one where I don't destroy you completely. Harold Kessler's office feels different this time. Maybe it's because I'm not hungover and desperate, or maybe it's because I'm finally holding cards worth playing. The lawyer listens to Monica's recording twice, taking notes in his precise handwriting. This is quite damning, he says when the audio ends. But as evidence in criminal court, it has limitations. What about civil court? Much more promising. Paternity fraud, intentional infliction of emotional distress, conspiracy to commit fraud. We could tie up the inheritance in litigation for years. But your wife is carrying what appears to be your biological child. That complicates things considerably. I lean forward in my chair. How so? The will requires her to bear your child. If DNA tests confirm paternity, she technically fulfills the requirement regardless of how conception occurred. The old man was specific about the outcome, not the method. So she gets away with it? Not necessarily. We can argue that fraud in the conception process invalidates the inheritance, but it would be a complex legal battle and the outcome isn't guaranteed. Kessler removes his glasses and cleans them slowly. There is another option. I'm listening. You could contest the paternity. Claim the child isn't yours. But it is mine, biologically anyway. Are you certain? You have only Monica's word that she delivered your genetic material to Serena. What if she kept it and sold something else to your wife? The possibility hadn't occurred to me. You think Monica double-crossed Vanessa? Professional criminals aren't known for their loyalty. If Monica could make money from both parties, why wouldn't she? So Vanessa might be pregnant by someone else? It's possible, Tyler perhaps, or another lover you don't know about. I consider this. How would we find out? Prenatal paternity testing. It's more complicated than postnatal testing, but it's possible. The question is whether your wife would agree to it. She won't. Then we'd have to get a court order, which means filing suit and making this whole mess public. The idea of our dirty laundry being aired in court makes my stomach turn. But I don't see another option. Do it. Are you sure? Once we file, there's no going back. Your wife will fight this with everything she has. Let her fight. I'm tired of being the victim in this marriage. Kessler nods and opens his laptop. I'll draft the papers today. Fraud, conspiracy, and a motion for court-ordered paternity testing. This is going to get ugly, Nate. It's already ugly. Now, it's just going to be public. The next morning, Vanessa's served with papers while she's having brunch with her friends at the country club. According to Jill, who has contacts everywhere, the scene was spectacular. Vanessa screamed at the process server, threw her mimosa at Leah when she tried to read the documents, and stormed out, leaving a table full of shocked socialites. She calls me 17 times before I finally answer. You bastard! She screams into the phone. How dare you sue me? How dare I? You paid someone to attack me and steal my DNA. I did what I had to do to secure our future. Your future. This was never about us, Vanessa. It was about you getting Daddy's money. And what's wrong with that? We could have been rich together. We could have been happy together. But that was never enough for you. She's quiet for a moment, and when she speaks again, her voice is different, calculating. You know, Nate, if you push this too far, you might not like what you find. What's that supposed to mean? Maybe the baby isn't yours after all. Maybe I was sleeping with Tyler longer than you thought. Maybe Monica never delivered what she promised. It's exactly what Kessler suggested, but hearing it from Vanessa makes it real. Are you saying the child isn't mine? I'm saying genetics are complicated. And if you force a paternity test, you might discover that all your legal maneuvering was for nothing. I'd still get the inheritance, and you'd get nothing. If the baby isn't mine, then you don't meet the will's requirements. Don't I? The will says I have to have a child with my husband. It doesn't say the child has to be biologically yours, just that we have to be married when it's conceived and born. I feel the ground shifting under my feet. That's not how paternity works. Isn't it? If we're married and I give birth, you're legally the father, unless you contest it. And if you contest it and lose, you look like a paranoid fool who accused his pregnant wife of fraud. And if I contest it and win, then you've proven your wife was unfaithful, which makes you look like a loser. Either way, you lose. She hangs up, leaving me staring at my phone and wondering if I've just made a terrible mistake. That evening, I meet with Jill at Murphy's to discuss strategy. Ray's working the bar, occasionally glancing over with concern. He's been a good friend through all this, but I can see the stress wearing on him too. Your wife's playing mind games, Jill says. Classic manipulation tactic. Make you doubt your own perceptions. But what if she's right? What if the baby isn't mine? Then you've exposed a fraud and saved the charity $33 million. That's not nothing. But I lose any claim to the inheritance. Did you ever really have one? Your father-in-law left the money to his daughter, with conditions. He was trying to keep her married to you, not make you rich. She's right, but it still stings. So what's my next move? We continue the investigation. I've been digging into Serena Walsh's finances, and there are some interesting patterns. Jill pulls out a folder thick with bank statements and financial records. She's made several large cash withdrawals over the past month. $25,000 to Monica, but also payments to others. What others? A fertility clinic in Hartford, a private medical lab, and most interesting, a payment to Tyler Grant 3 days after your wife announced her pregnancy. Hush money? Or payment for services rendered? If Tyler's the real father, they might have paid him to disappear. Can you find him? Already have. He's working at a resort in Florida, very eager to stay out of Connecticut. But money talks, and I think he might be willing to tell his story for the right price. How much? $50,000, plus protection from your wife's legal team. It's money I don't have, but Ray overhears and slides a beer across the bar. I've got some savings, he says quietly, if you need it. Ray, I can't ask you to. You're not asking, I'm offering. That woman destroyed your life. Time to return the favor. 2 days later, Jill flies to Florida with a cashier's check and a digital recorder. Tyler's story is everything we hoped for and worse than I imagined. According to his sworn statement, he and Vanessa had been having an affair for 8 months before her father died. They were planning to run away together after she inherited the money. But the will's paternity requirement changed everything. She was furious, Tyler admits on the recording, screaming about how her father was trying to control her from the grave. That's when Serena suggested the plan with Monica. But the plan failed, Jill prompts. Monica delivered what she promised, but Vanessa was paranoid it wouldn't work. She wanted a backup plan. Which was? She had me contribute to the same fertility clinic. Said if the first attempt didn't take, they'd try with mine and claim it was yours anyway. And did the first attempt work? No. She tried twice with your husband's sample, but nothing happened. So they used mine. The recording continues for another 20 minutes, with Tyler providing dates, locations, and details that corroborate everything we suspected. By the time it's over, I feel sick. She played everyone, I tell Jill when she returns. Monica, me, Tyler, even Serena. Sociopaths usually do. The question is, what do you want to do with this information? I think about Vanessa's threat, her confidence that she'd win no matter what I did. She's always been 3 steps ahead of everyone else, manipulating situations to her advantage. But this time, she's underestimated me. I want to destroy her, I say, completely and publicly. I want her to lose everything. That's going to require perfect timing and a lot of courage. Are you ready for that? I've been ready for 20 years. The plan comes together over the next 2 weeks like pieces of a jigsaw puzzle. Vanessa thinks she's won. The pregnancy is progressing. Her lawyer is fighting the paternity suit, and she's already started spending money she doesn't technically have yet. She's bought a new Mercedes, hired an interior designer to redo the nursery, and started planning a baby shower that's more like a coronation. That's when I decide to throw my own party. A reconciliation celebration? Vanessa sounds suspicious when I call her with the idea. What's the occasion? I've been thinking about what you said, about our future, the baby, starting over. Maybe you're right. Maybe we should put all this legal nonsense behind us and focus on being a family. You're dropping the lawsuit? I'm considering it. But first, I want to show everyone that we're united. A big party, all our friends and family, celebrating our marriage and the baby. I can practically hear the wheels turning in her head. A public reconciliation would undermine my legal case and make her look like the victim of a paranoid husband's delusions. That's actually a wonderful idea, she says. When were you thinking? This Saturday. I'll handle all the arrangements. You will? It's the least I can do, after everything I've put you through with these crazy accusations. She's quiet for a moment, probably wondering if this is some kind of trap. But her ego wins out, as I knew it would. Okay, she says, but I want it to be perfect, spare no expense. Don't worry about the money. I've got it covered. What she doesn't know is that Ray and Jill have helped me set up the perfect stage for Vanessa's downfall. The party will be at the mansion, using Vanessa's own money, but every detail is designed to expose her lies. Saturday arrives with perfect weather. Sunny, 75 degrees, not a cloud in the sky. I arrive at the mansion early to oversee the setup. Caterers are arranging tables around the pool, bartenders are stocking bars at strategic locations, and a small stage has been set up for what Vanessa thinks will be speeches about our renewed love. She emerges from the house at noon wearing a flowing white dress that emphasizes her pregnancy bump. She's glowing with satisfaction, playing the role of the devoted wife and expectant mother. "This is beautiful, darling," she says, surveying the scene. "You've outdone yourself." "Only the best for my wife and child," I reply, and she doesn't catch the irony in my voice. Guests start arriving at 2 o'clock. Vanessa's society friends, neighbors from the exclusive development, even some of my old construction buddies that Ray invited. Everyone who matters in our social circle is here to witness what they think will be a heartwarming reconciliation. Serena arrives fashionably late, wearing designer sunglasses and a nervous expression. She's been avoiding me since the lawsuit was filed, probably on advice from her lawyer, but she can't resist a party, especially one where she might see me publicly humiliated. "Nate," she says coolly when she spots me by the bar, "I'm surprised to see you here." "It's my house, too," I reply, "at least for now. Vanessa says you're dropping the lawsuit. We'll see." Tyler's conspicuous by his absence, but I didn't expect him to show. According to Jill's sources, he's still in Florida, probably watching from afar to see how this plays out. At 4 o'clock, I take the stage and tap the microphone for attention. The crowd quiets, drinks in hand, expecting the usual reconciliation speech. "Thank you all for coming," I begin. "Vanessa and I wanted to share some important news with the people who matter most to us." Vanessa beams from the front row, one hand resting on her belly. "As you know, we've been going through a difficult time. Marriage isn't easy, and when you add pregnancy hormones and family money to the mix, things can get complicated." A few people chuckle knowingly. "But I've learned something important over the past few weeks. I've learned that my wife is an incredibly resourceful woman. When she wants something, she finds a way to get it, no matter what obstacles stand in her way." Vanessa's smile falters slightly. Something in my tone is setting off alarm bells. For example, when she needed to get pregnant to inherit her father's money, but we hadn't been intimate in months, she found a creative solution. The crowd shifts uncomfortably. This isn't the speech they were expecting. "She hired a professional escort named Monica Reeves to seduce me at Murphy's Bar, steal my genetic material, and deliver it to her accomplice, Serena Walsh." Gasps ripple through the crowd. Serena goes white and starts backing toward the exit, but Ray and 2 of his friends are blocking her path. "But here's the really clever part," I continue, pulling out a tablet and connecting it to the sound system. "When that plan didn't work, she had a backup ready." Tyler's voice fills the air, clear and damning. "She had me contribute to the same fertility clinic. Said if the first attempt didn't take, they'd try with mine and claim it was yours anyway." The crowd erupts in shocked murmurs. Vanessa's standing now, her face a mask of rage and panic. "You bastard!" she screams. "Turn that off!" "The baby my wife is carrying isn't mine," I announce. "It belongs to Tyler Grant, our former pool boy." "DNA tests will prove it, but Tyler's already confessed everything." "That's not true!" Vanessa shouts. But her voice is lost in the chaos as guests start talking all at once. "Ladies and gentlemen," I say, raising my voice over the noise, "I present to you the real Vanessa Porter, adulteress, fraud, and criminal conspirator." That's when she snaps. Vanessa charges the stage like a woman possessed, her white dress flowing behind her like the wings of a vengeful angel. She's screaming incoherently, her face twisted with rage. I step aside as she reaches for the microphone, and she stumbles, catching herself on the podium. "He's lying!" she shrieks into the microphone. "He's a bitter, pathetic man who can't accept that I don't love him anymore." "Then explain this," I say, and play Monica's confession. Monica's voice is crystal clear. "Your wife's friend contacted me, Serena Walsh. She said they had a job for someone with my particular skills, seduction and theft." The crowd is mesmerized now, like spectators at a car crash. Some are recording with their phones, others are calling friends to tell them what they're witnessing. Vanessa grabs the tablet and hurls it toward the pool. It lands with a splash, but the damage is done. Everyone heard enough to understand what she did. "You want to know the truth?" she screams at the crowd. "The truth is that Nate is a loser, a failed contractor who couldn't provide for me, couldn't give me the life I deserved. I did what I had to do to secure my future. By committing fraud and conspiracy," I reply calmly. "By being smarter than you." She whirls to face the crowd. "All of you, standing there judging me. You'd do the same thing if you had the chance. $33 million! You'd sell your own mothers for that kind of money." The crowd's murmuring turns hostile. These are people who value reputation above almost everything else. And Vanessa's just confirmed that she's exactly the kind of person they despise. "Where's Tyler?" someone shouts from the back. "If he's the father, where is he?" "In Florida," I answer, hiding from the consequences of his actions, just like Serena here was trying to do. All eyes turn to Serena, who's been trying to slip away unnoticed. She freezes like a deer in headlights. "I didn't do anything wrong," she says weakly. "You paid someone to seduce me under false pretenses," I reply. "That's criminal coercion in Connecticut." "It wasn't coercion. Monica agreed to sleep with you. Because you lied to her and used her to deceive me for your own gain. That's not just immoral, Serena, it's illegal." "Accomplice." The crowd turns on both women now, their voices rising in anger and disgust. Someone calls them hoes. Another person suggests they should be arrested. The party has become a mob scene. "Everyone needs to leave," Vanessa announces, her voice shaking. "This is my house and you're all trespassing." "Actually," I say, producing a legal document from my jacket, "as of this morning, the house is tied up in litigation. Nobody's living here until the courts sort out the inheritance." "What?" "Emergency injunction. Since the pregnancy was achieved through fraud, the will's conditions haven't been met. The estate is frozen pending investigation." Vanessa stares at the document, her face cycling through disbelief, rage, and finally despair. "You can't do this." "I just did." The crowd starts dispersing, guests eager to escape the drama and spread the gossip. Within 30 minutes, the party's over and the mansion is empty except for Vanessa, Serena, and me. "This isn't over," Vanessa says, but her voice lacks conviction. "Yes, it is," I reply. "Your reputation is destroyed, your inheritance is gone, and you're facing criminal charges. It's over, Vanessa." She looks around at the empty party, the abandoned decorations, the life she's lost. Then she starts laughing, a sound so bitter and broken that it makes my skin crawl. "You think you've won," she says, "but you've lost everything too. The house, the money, me. You'll end up alone with nothing." "Maybe, but at least I'll have my dignity." She laughs harder. "Dignity doesn't pay the bills, Nate, and it doesn't keep you warm at night. Neither does sleeping with pool boys." That stops her laughing. She stares at me with pure hatred. And for a moment, I think she might attack me physically. Instead, she turns and walks toward the house. "Where are you going?" I call after her. "To pack," she says, without turning around. "Since apparently I don't live here anymore." 3 months later, I'm sitting in Harold Kessler's office reviewing the final settlement documents. The legal battle has been brutal. Depositions, hearings, media coverage that turned our private nightmare into public entertainment. But it's finally over. "The criminal charges against your wife and Serena Walsh have been filed," Kessler reports. "Conspiracy to commit fraud, theft by deception, and violation of reproductive rights. The prosecutor thinks they'll plea bargain to avoid jail time." "And the inheritance?" "Goes to the American Red Cross, as specified in your father-in-law's will. Since the pregnancy was achieved through fraud, and the biological father is Tyler Grant, not you, the conditions weren't met." "What about Vanessa?" "She gets nothing, well, not quite nothing. She'll receive $50,000, what her father called enough to start over somewhere else. His words, according to a sealed letter that was part of the will." I shake my head. "He knew she'd try something like this. Your father-in-law was a shrewd man. He loved his daughter, but he wasn't blind to her faults." The office door opens and Jill walks in, carrying a thick folder. "Final report," she announces. "Everything you wanted to know about your wife's activities over the past 2 years." Do I want to know? Probably not, but you should. Tyler wasn't her first affair. There were at least 3 others, including one with your former business partner. That explains how my construction company went under so quickly. Anyone I know? David Morrison. He's the one who convinced your biggest clients to break their contracts. The betrayal runs deeper than I thought. Vanessa didn't just cheat on me. She systematically destroyed my livelihood to make me more dependent on her. There's more, Jill continues. She's been siphoning money from joint accounts for years, hiding it in offshore accounts. The prosecutor's office is investigating, but recovery is unlikely. How much? Nearly $200,000. Your construction business profits, savings, even money from your military disability payments. I feel sick. While I was working to build our life together, she was planning my destruction. But here's the interesting part, Jill says. She made a mistake with one of the accounts, used her real name instead of an alias. The FBI's frozen it as part of their investigation into the fertility clinic fraud. How much is in it? $1.7 million. I stare at her. What? She's been running this scam for years, Nate. You weren't her first victim. She's targeted at least 6 other men in similar situations. Wealthy widowers, divorced executives, men with something she wanted. Kessler leans forward. Are you saying this was a pattern? A business model, Jill confirms. She'd marry them, manipulate them into vulnerable positions, then extract what she wanted and disappear. The fertility fraud was just her latest innovation. But she stayed married to me for 15 years. Because you were useful. You provided stability, respectability, and a cover for her other activities. Plus, she was waiting for her father to die so she could inherit the real money. The scope of Vanessa's deception is staggering. Our entire marriage was a lie, a long con designed to position her for the ultimate payday. What happens to the frozen money? I ask. Restitution to her victims, Kessler explains. You'll likely receive a significant portion, given the length of your marriage and the extent of the fraud. And Vanessa? She's facing federal charges now. Wire fraud, money laundering, racketeering. She's looking at serious prison time. My phone buzzes with a text message. It's from an unknown number. We need to talk. V. I show it to Jill, who frowns. She's supposed to have no contact with you pending the criminal trial. Maybe she wants to confess, I suggest. Or maybe she's planning something desperate. Be careful, Nate. That evening, I meet Vanessa at a diner in Hartford, far from anywhere we might be recognized. She looks terrible. Thin, pale, her usually perfect hair limp and unwashed. Prison orange doesn't suit her. You look like heck, I say, sliding into the booth across from her. Jail will do that to you. Her voice is flat, emotionless. Thanks for coming. What do you want, Vanessa? To apologize. I almost laugh. Apologize? For which part? The affairs, the fraud, the theft, or the 15 years of lies? All of it. She stares at her coffee cup. I know you won't believe me, but I did love you once. At the beginning. When? Our first year of marriage. You were so genuine. So different from the men I usually dealt with. I thought maybe I could be happy with a simple life. But you couldn't. No, I got bored. Restless. And when Daddy kept dangling the inheritance over my head, demanding I stay married and have children, I started to resent you. So you decided to destroy me instead. I decided to take control of my own life. You were collateral damage. Her honesty is almost refreshing after years of lies and manipulation. Why tell me this now? I ask. Because I'm going to prison for a long time. And because she looks up at me, and for the first time in years, I see something that might be genuine emotion in her eyes. Because I want you to know that none of this was your fault. You were a good husband. I was just a terrible wife. That's supposed to make me feel better? It's supposed to make you feel free, to move on, find someone who deserves you, be happy. What about the baby? Tyler's problem now. I'm giving up parental rights as part of my plea agreement. The child will be better off without me. We sit in silence for a few minutes, two people who shared 15 years and have nothing left to say to each other. I have to ask, I finally say, was any of it real? Our wedding day, our honeymoon, the times you said you loved me? She considers the question seriously. Some of it, maybe 20%. The rest was performance. 20%. I know that's not much comfort, but it's honest. And honesty is all I have left to give you. She stands to leave, then pauses. For what it's worth, Nate, you won. You destroyed me more completely than I ever destroyed you. I hope that brings you some peace. It doesn't, I admit, but it brings me justice. She nods and walks away, back to whatever heck she's made of her life. I watch her go and feel nothing. No anger, no satisfaction, no sadness. just emptiness where 15 years of marriage used to be. 6 months later, I'm standing in the driveway of a modest house in Vermont watching movers unload my truck. It's a far cry from the Connecticut mansion, but it's mine. Bought with restitution money from Vanessa's frozen accounts. No strings attached. Ray's helping with the heavy furniture, complaining about his back, but refusing to let me hire professional movers. "You sure about this place?" he asks, gesturing at the rural setting. "It's pretty isolated." That's the point. I need some quiet time to figure out who I am when I'm not being manipulated. Fair enough. But don't become a hermit. There are good people in this world, you know. I know. I'm looking at one. He grins and hefts another box. Flattery will get you everywhere. My phone rings. It's Kessler with an update on Vanessa's case. She pled guilty to all charges, he reports. 12 years in federal prison, with possibility of parole in 8. And the others? Serena, Tyler, Monica? Serena got 3 years, suspended sentence with probation. Tyler's cooperating with authorities and won't face charges. Monica disappeared, probably changed identities again. So it's over. Legally, yes. The divorce is final. All assets have been distributed, and the criminal cases are closed. I hang up and look around at my new life. Small house, small town, small problems. After years of drama and betrayal, boring sounds pretty good. That evening, I'm sitting on my front porch with a beer, watching the sunset over the mountains when a car pulls into my driveway. A woman gets out, mid-30s, brown hair, wearing jeans and a simple blouse. She looks normal, which is exactly what I need right now. "Mr. Porter? I'm Sarah Mitchell from the local newspaper. I was wondering if I could ask you a few questions about your experience with marriage fraud." "I don't really want to relive all that," I say. "I understand, but there are other victims out there, people who might benefit from hearing your story, how you recognized the signs, how you fought back, how you survived." I consider this. Maybe Ray's right about there being good people in the world. Maybe it's time to start helping them instead of just protecting myself. "Would you like some coffee?" I ask. She smiles, and it's the first genuine smile I've seen from a woman in years. "I'd love some." As we walk toward the house, I realize that Vanessa was wrong about one thing. I didn't end up alone with nothing. I ended up alone with everything that matters: my dignity, my freedom, and the possibility of a future built on truth instead of lies. It's not the life I planned, but it's the life I chose. And for the first time in 15 years, that choice is entirely my own.